Are we filming? Yes, we are. So welcome to another review. So this is a review of a binder made by Wuzhi Studio, which came to me all the way from the Dongguan district of China. And so we'll do a review right now. But before we do, for those of you in a hurry, I will give you a conclusion right at the end of this video, and that starts at the time on the screen now. So let's go and have a look at this review. So here we are. This box, by the way, this box is lovely. I'm going to just speed things up because this is not really, I mean, there's several videos out there showing an unboxing of these Wuzhi Studio binders. So I'm not really going to elaborate on that because this is more talking about the actual binder itself. But it is nice. They are very, very well presented. Lay a solid foundation, and the time will come for you to shine. I mean, there's a similar strap line to Plotter, but this is what we get. So first thing is this card, this certificate of authenticity. This is a consortium in the Tuscany region of Italy. There are apparently, I had a look at the website, there are 19 producers in the area, and they're all making the very, very highest quality leathers to vegetable tanning, I wouldn't say recipe, but you know what I'm saying. They've been doing the same thing for several hundred years. I've heard rumours that this has been going on in the region for over 1,000 years, which is quite something. It's a bit like the Walsall area of Birmingham here in England, where they've been producing leather in that region, if you like, although it's been fairly truncated recently, since the 1960s and 70s, I suppose. But that is also a leather making area, region, that has been going for over 1,000 years. So I can well believe it. But interestingly, if you look at what I received from the Plotter, Plotter package a few weeks ago, it's the same certificate of authenticity. Just having a look at the serial numbers to see whether they are actually, no, they are genuinely different. So me being cynical, I thought it was it's something that could be just printed and no one would notice this, but they do seem to be genuine. But what else do we get? Well, we get a disclaimer saying that the leather might change over time, which is fair enough. And also we get this. I mean, it's interesting. It says another expression of notebook/journal for all the planners with dream. So there's something lost in the translation here, but this actually surprises me because a small amount of effort this translation could easily be translated by someone who for whom English is their main language. So I am actually surprised. I mean, the quality, everything else is the display and presentation is superb, but it is let down by it doesn't seem to be on, you know, it hasn't this business. They haven't thought about the how this comes across, but it is an absolute joy to behold. And let me just get on with it. So here we go. This is the Wuzhi. Let me put all those out the way. This is the Wuzhi personal sized binder, and I just want to compare it with this one that I received not so long ago, if I can get it out. Oh my goodness me. So here we go. So this is the Plotter, which you have seen before. So very, very similar. Interestingly, this seems to be a bit random. So this is a ring protector for those who prefer to stop the indentation marks. You can see here I've already got the indentation marks starting after just a few days use, and they're developing nicely here. I actually like these indentation markings because I see it as the sign of work accomplished. That's my phrase, as it were, which I've used several times. I must stop doing that, but it is true. It's a sign of work accomplished, and it feels nice. This Pueblo leather is developing nicely. This leather hasn't got any sheen or use yet because I haven't used it in anger, but I will, and I'll keep you updated from time to time, probably in the podcast, as to how this is coming along. But I do like this leather. It does seem to be made, it comes from the same region, possibly the same producer, who knows. But the leather is very, very nice indeed. Same thickness, just feeling it's exactly the same thickness. The actual dimensions are very, very similar. Maybe this is the Wuzhi is a couple of millimeters shorter. And then from a point of view of width, what are we doing, Neil? Come on, sort yourself out. From a point of view of width, actually this is probably better to do it. It's maybe a couple of millimeters shorter, so virtually the same size. As far as the rings are concerned, plotter, you've got Krauss rings, and in many models of produced by Wuzhi Studio, they're using Krauss rings. These either are Krauss rings and they haven't been stamped Krauss, or they are another manufacturer. But I'll tell you what, whether or not these Krauss rings or not, these actually feel even nicer than the Krauss rings on the plotter. So I'm hopeful that these, wherever they are made, are going to be very, very good quality. I'm hoping they'll still be around in 100 years. You never know. That's my optimism. That's my optimism. Skiving. We need to talk about skiving. One of my commenters has said it's actually skiving. Skiving is the process by which the leather is shaved, presumably with a sharp blade, to make it much thinner here compared to here, so that it forms an easier and natural hinge. But as you can see, the flatability is simply sensational. I mean, it's exactly the same as the plotter, and this is something, as you can tell, this is my main thing. Flatability is the key, and these binders, both of these, the ability of the binder to lay flat when opened is nothing short of perfectamundo. The actual back plate, this is where things change a little bit. So from what I can see when I'm looking closely at the back plate, oh God, I must be careful not to run my fingers across there because it's so sharp. You could easily hurt yourself. I haven't yet solved this problem. So although I've been trying this out, I haven't dared put this in my pocket or a bag because it's so sharp. And that's something where the Wuzhi differs, because I can feel that these are not sharp at all. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So that is a plus point for the Wuzhi Studio here. Obviously they're different because it's only clamped at the top and the bottom here, and whereas the plotter is there's a locating spigot here. So it's clamped in one and two places, but there's also this this spigot here, which I think is also a clamp if you compress it. So it's held in 3 places. Here it's only 2 places. I was originally fearful or wary of the fact that this may not lay completely flat, because there is obviously there's a difference in height between the point here and the point here, and then if you lay it flat, then the leather would press down, and so you'd have a concave surface of the leather. But to be honest, when you consider these are maybe 1.5 to 2 millimeters thick, they're actually a lot thinner than the plotter. Can you see that? They are actually, there's quite a big difference there. I think that there is no problem at all. It doesn't feel like this is having to be bowed down. There's no compression. I mean, I'm looking underneath here, and I can't see any gap here. So there's obviously a little bit of the leather distorting, as it were, down here, but I can't see it. I mean, I wouldn't even be aware of it unless I had previously bought a plotter and over a cup of coffee or two wondered about that, as I'm inclined to do. I'm very keen on the details, the nitty gritty of all these things. The actual curve, the actual radius of the plotter compared to the Wuzhi Studio, you can see that there's a greater radius of the plotter, but they're not sharp. It's not something that's going to wear a hole in your pocket. I mean, it's perfectly adequate, no problem at all. And this leather will inevitably become more supple in use, not too supple, but it's not going to cause any problems. I mean, the only issue I would say is, are these, that corner there, would it eventually wear a hole in your pocket? Probably. Well, look, you can see that you can hear I am rubbing my finger on there, and it's fine. You can see the indentations. I'll do that again. You can see that I'm pressing really, really hard. If I did that with the plotter, I'd probably end up in the hospital to solve a major cut on my finger. It's just ridiculously sharp. Frankly, it's the only fly in the ointment, as we say in the UK. But it's not an issue for me personally, because I'm going to file that down like I have done on my other plotter, where you can see I've smoothed them down, and now they're fantastic. But this is an interesting design. Whether or not it's more reliable and more sturdy, are these under more, the clamps under more strain over the years? Who knows? But to be honest, I think that's probably fine. Difficult to say whether this is the back or the front, but I suspect it's the back, because there's a Wuzhi is engraved or stamped very neatly, very it is very, very nice. It's nicely done, as is the plotter. But I just think it's actually a very nice thing. It's almost like, can you see that? There's almost like there is a stamped line, almost like it's been pressed and compressed on the outside. It's very, very difficult to see, but if you bend it back slightly, you can see that there is a crease that's pre-stamped into the leather, which may or may not improve the flatability over time, compared to the plotter that doesn't have this stamp. But one of the things that I have noticed, and it's probably probably because of this stamp. I mean, it's very, very clever engineering. A very clever design is, let me show you this again. So both of them open flat perfectly. But if you close the Wuzhi Studio, it's almost perfectly closing. Not that it makes any difference. The main requirement, at least in my opinion, is to open flat. And if it's in your pocket or your bag, it's going to be closed anyway. But it doesn't quite go down. And yet the plotter, if I do that, there's a little bit more reluctance to close. And I suspect that is part of the design. These two creases, one here and one here. They're very subtle, but they are there. They are absolutely there. There we go. There we go. This stamping is very, very nice. It is a sign of quality, really, really nice. And it's got the Wuzhi kind of logo, or the strapline. Lay a solid foundation and the time will come for you to shine. Well, okay, I'm not going a bundle on that personally, but I can live with it, and the stamping is nice, so I can understand that this stamping will please many of you out there. But overall, the leather seems to be superb. Although I don't know who makes the rings, but I mean, the quality is sensational. The leather is sensational. The flatability is sensational. Overall, I would say this is absolutely fantastic. But I want to talk about something which might come as a surprise, or may not come as a surprise, depending on your point of view. But as you know, I'm living in the UK, and there's no distribution network for Wuzhi Studio. There's no official distribution network for Plotter. Plotter are made in Japan. Wuzhi Studio in Japan. In China. This was more expensive to buy by a considerable margin. This one, if you include the shipping and, crucially, the duty, the import fees, the handling fees to collect the VAT and the duty, whatever way you call it, this was expensive. This cost me just over £200. This, including everything, £76. Why is there such a huge difference? Well, I suppose labour in Japan might be more than labour in China. I suspect that is the case. But one of the interesting things, if you like, was I paid no duty. No duty, no import fees, no admin fees to collect the duty. It sailed through customs without being stopped. Now, theoretically, I should have paid import duty on this, just like I did with the Plotter. But there is a thing here which, I benefited by it, but the vendor described this on the customs sheet as a notebook, and the value was stated as £3.90, 3.9 GBP, which is obviously a lot less than the reality. Now, I don't know how often these get checked, but strictly speaking, if you are an exporter, if you sell something from China or any other country, there is a requirement to fill in the form correctly. But I'm not judging, but I wonder whether that might be the reason why I didn't pay any duty on this. But food for thought there. I'm just saying how it is. So it might be the case that this is a regular thing, and perhaps you'll be lucky too and not pay any duty. Whether there's a moral imperative there, then that's down to you individually. But all I'm saying is, I paid no duty on this, and so the price was dramatically cheaper. It was less than half the price of the plotter. Nevertheless, I personally think that this was money well spent, and this was money well spent. I'm delighted to compare the two, and I strongly suspect in the future I'll be comparing other binders similar sort of specification and materials to these, but that's for the future. Anyway, in conclusion, for those in a hurry, I would say that this binder from Wuzhi Studio is almost identical to the plotter they make. They're made from identical leather from the Tuscany region in Italy. Pueblo leather, really nice. This set of rings, although they're not marked Kraus, are very good quality. They feel sensational. The skiving is the same as the plotter, and it enables this binder to open and shut and have perfect flatability. It is generally a sensational quality product. I'm absolutely delighted with it. The main difference, I guess, is the way the backplate is manufactured. So you've got two small backplates which clamp the rings to the leather, whereas the plotter has this elongated backplate. An improvement on the plotter is the fact that these backplates are nice and smooth, whereas the plotter is sharp, which at least in my opinion needs to be filed down to make it usable in a pocket or a bag to stop damage. But overall they are identical. Whereas the plotter cost me 203 pound, this cost me 76 British pounds as I record this in November 2024. So this is substantially cheaper than the plotter. The Wuzhi Studio model was made in the Dongguan region of China, and the plotter was made in Japan. But there's a massive difference in price. Both of these, despite the high price of the plotter, the price differential, both of them come highly recommended. Thanks very much. Shall I start that again? Thanks very much for watching. Until my next video, goodbye.